Okay.
All right.
Hey there, you with
Hey, John.
ears. No, not you. The other people in here.
Oh,
You like books? Do you like books? Do you. Sam and John's Book Club, yay.
sorry. Am I allowed to participate now?
Yeah,
Don't
just
get me
go
wrong. That
ahead.
was really good. What you did. I'm really happy that you.
Your even stare was just so intimidating. I couldn't. I was frozen solid, frozen in my tracks.
All right. Hey, welcome
Stopped
to Sam and
cold.
John's Book Club. We're continuing to read through Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson. Thank you, Brandon Sanderson, for the book.
Book 3 of the Stormlight Archive.
And we have just started part 3 of book 3.
Yep.
Which is pretty cool. Pretty cool, I
Mhm.
gotta say. I liked this week's reading pretty good.
It was pretty good.
So, we
I
start
I
out.
was pleasantly surprised at how good it was for the start of part. Because normally
Yeah.
the start of parts are my least favorites.
Recently, I don't know if Brandon Sanderson's writing style has been changing or if just my level of appreciation has been changing for some reason. But recently, there have just been little bits, like little individual lines that I've just found myself really liking or that really make
Yeah.
me laugh or whatever.
Right.
So I'll touch on a couple of those this time.
Sure.
Yeah, but we start out in an interlude. It's a lady called Kaza who's a soulcaster. Very cool, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And we, in this little bit, are checking out the island Aemia.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess it's a group of islands. I guess it's like a nation.
Yeah, it's like a weird little secret island nation, yeah.
And it has a very Bermuda Triangle-y vibe.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're legit, like kind of mini storms that don't sync up with the what's the high storms.
Yeah.
And people that sail there just get messed up every time they sail there.
It's thought that the Everstorm originates at Aemia, just like the high storms originate at the origin.
Right.
The captain says that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they're like these targeted storms that appear to go out and strike incoming ships. And I'm thinking those got to be put there by somebody, right? Or it might be like a spren that lives there that's like
Right.
throwing these storms at people.
They have an anti-lighthouse sprint.
Yeah, it really hates ships.
Yeah.
Um,
So this Kaza lady, she's got some sort of condition
yeah,
due to soul casting, where
yeah,
her body is just like kind of disintegrating slowly. Like pieces of her face are missing, pieces of her fingers are missing, and it sounds very freaky. This would be a very cool movie scene. This character.
sure, yeah. I mean, this is something that we heard about like in book 1, right?
Oh, was it?
Where the soulcasters had twisted faces.
Oh, yes.
Remember that on the
Yes,
Shattered
yes.
Plains?
Right.
And like, I kind of forgot about it.
Right.
But now we're getting a much closer look at that. And yeah, Kaza's been soulcasting her whole life, and it seems like her soulcaster exclusively turns things into smoke, right?
Yep.
And every time she uses it, she also turns a little bit more into smoke.
Yep.
And one day she's going to use it, and she'll just go completely smoke zone.
Right.
All right.
So that's not good.
So that's kind of whack.
Everybody knows that this island of Aemia has some crazy secret, maybe some cool treasure stuff, right? And so that's why people want to get there in the first place.
Yeah.
But she's just there to help this ship that's looking for the treasure to find, hopefully, what could be a cure to her condition.
Yeah, exactly. She says that fabrials originated in Aemia. This is where people
Right.
used to get them in the olden days.
Yeah.
Or not fabrials, but soulcasters.
Right.
So that's interesting. Like, I wonder why that is. Now the thing
Right.
is, John, that Aemia we get from this little bit, and also from little times the word has been dropped earlier in the series. We know that it's like a significant place, right?
Yep. Yeah.
But it's made even more significant to me by the fact that our friend Lucas is like, this island is driving him crazy.
Yeah.
It's like all he can think about, right?
Oh, that's
like
funny.
he predicts that Dawn Shard is going to reveal some major secrets about Aemia.
Okay. I'm into it.
And the fact that he is so concerned with this island makes me really interested in
concerned.
AME also.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, is this... I'm trying to remember. Is this the freaky place where Axie's race comes from?
Yes. And
Okay.
also where the Sleepless come from.
Right.
Which are the guys made all about Kremlins.
Yeah, the cockroach dudes, yeah.
And here we meet a different Sleepless than the one we met back in Edge Dancer.
Yep.
Which is actually the ship's chef who did murder everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So that was rude.
Yep, poisoned all their food because the island's secrets must be kept safe from all that come there.
Yeah, and actually there was a kind of a wacky little scene where Smoke Lady is saying like, well, you can kill me, but at least tell me the island secrets or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this chef says there are those who could pull the secrets from your soul, and the cost would be the end of worlds.
Yeah. So
I am agreeing with Lucas that this island is probably incredibly significant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how people are pulling memories from people from their souls, but if people like that get these secrets and that's the end of worlds, that sounds significant to me at least.
Well, and we know that dying isn't the end,
right?
Per se, in
right.
Cosmere.
Not in so many words, yeah.
I don't know. All right, spoiler alerts, really quick. So be aware if you haven't read, I guess, Mistborn Era 1 and 2, and also, all of Arcanum Unbounded.
Okay, well that's me.
Oh, that's true.
You could just throw this in post, and if I watch it, I'll skip that part.
Okay, sounds good. I'll do that. Hi there. Yeah, Future Sam again. I am going to give you a spoiler. So if you have not read Mistborn Secret History from Arcanum Unbounded and up through Mistborn Era 2, you might want to skip ahead to about 8:20, let's say. Okay, you have a couple of seconds to do that if you don't want the spoiler. And, okay, now here we go. So what was I talking about when I said that death is not the end? Well, Kelsier does super duper die in Mistborn Book 1, but he's not totally dead. He does continue to influence the world in Mistborn Secret History. That's what it's all about. So if you don't remember exactly what I'm talking about, feel free to go reread that or look up a summary or something. I'm not getting into too much detail. But what I'm trying to say here is that even when a character dies in the Cosmere, it is not the end for them. And by, interacting with the cognitive and spiritual realms, you can interact with dead characters. Okay. Yep. See ya.
Anyway.
All right, and now here we are back again.
Yep.
So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that first interlude.
Yeah, it was kind of cool, like just a purely for flavor thing where she was like, "You can't kill me if I'm gonna kill myself," and she turns herself into smoke, which is very cool.
Yeah. Also, isn't it kind of whack that soul casting is like really useful, so it makes sense that people do it, right? Mm-hmm. But also, making someone a soul caster is like a death sentence for that person.
Yeah, definitely.
However, it seems like you can soul cast for a long time before it kills you.
Right.
So,
you'll become like disfigured, but it doesn't sound like it really affects your life other than people looking at you funny.
Yeah, and I guess it's no more of a death sentence to make someone a soul caster than it is to make them like a soldier, right?
Right.
Sort of.
Right. And
I don't know.
Like there's some amount of relativity there, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like a trade-off. Like how much use do you have to get out of somebody for it to be worth killing them? Right?
Yep.
All right, moving on. Hey, Taravangian, my boy.
Oh man, when I got to this, I was like, oh yeah, we haven't heard from him in a hot minute.
Yeah, I feel like we only get glimpses of Taravangian.
Right, and they make them that much more appealing whenever they come up.
Yeah, I love.
He's like one of my favorite characters, just because he's so weird and we know so little about him.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites as well. Definitely, when we do our tier list, I mean spoilers, but Taravangian's gonna be S tier.
Yeah.
All right, so today Taravangian is an absolute genius, the smartest, the second smartest he's ever been.
Right. Yeah. Second only to the time he made the diagram.
We learned that Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay. He's taking his like exam to, get people to get his advisors to know where he's at. And he's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we have to waste all the time on this. And he's like filling out the problems. He's like, this last one's too hard. I can't solve that. Now let me get to my work or whatever. And somehow they hadn't come up with the loophole that he would just not answer the last question that gets him into the danger zone where he's not allowed to make decisions.
As the reader, it was like incredibly obvious.
Right.
What he was pulling.
Yeah, and I was like, how did he not think of this, Like,
yeah.
I guess he came up with that on a normal day, so there's that, but
yeah.
So he is firmly in the danger zone, but they're not going to let him make any policy choices. They're just going to let him mess with the diagram, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Which seems like the way to do it.
We learned that his Dustbringer girl, who I've forgotten the name of, Malata, maybe?
Yeah, that sounds right.
She is a member of the diagram. She knows she's in on the secret.
Yes.
Which makes sense.
Right.
Yep. Okay. Taravangian, when he's super smart, he muses to himself that like stupid people should be banned from reading, and I'm like, what in the world?
Yeah.
How does that make sense? All right, whatever.
Just his like very weird opinions of, that's in the eugenics zone a little bit. Obviously not as bad, but similar.
It's just like it doesn't make sense to me.
Right. Yeah.
Like eugenics, like I can see how like someone is like, okay, if we just want to be really, really like smart about this and not take humanitarianism into account at all, right? Mm-hmm. A character who's like that, I can see why they would think eugenics was a good idea, right?
Yeah.
But a ban on reading for unintelligent people, like I just don't understand how that is useful in any regard.
What advantage is that? Yeah. No, I don't really get that either.
Oh well. All right, Renarin. We learned that Renarin is not accounted for by the diagram. He is a rogue factor according to the diagram, which in a way makes Renarin very useful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah, I like that. Kind of funny, given the only thing that you've told me about Way of Kings Prime is that originally Renarin was the one that made the diagram or something weird.
Yes.
So,
yeah. Apparently, Renarin comes up with the diagram during Way of Kings Prime.
Right. So it's just kind of a fun crossover.
Yeah, and if you're not aware, The Way of Kings Prime is a book that was written by Brandon Sanderson back before The Way of Kings, back before any of this, and it is not considered canon at all, but it's like almost like an alternate universe version of The Way of Kings.
Right. Just an earlier draft that obviously didn't make it to the light of day.
And if you want to read it, it is available as a free PDF released by Brandon Sanderson himself.
All right. Which sounds pretty fun. I kind of want to read that at some point.
Yeah, I started reading it. I was thinking about recording my own like fan audiobook of the whole thing.
Okay, sure.
But I didn't.
How is it?
So.
How is it so far from what you've read? Any super weird differences?
It's interesting. The beginning was very, very different. Like it felt like a totally different universe right from the get-go. So.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Okay. Taravangian asked for like children to sing hymns to help him think or something.
Yeah.
But then he got tired of them, so as he was like giving orders to his bodyguard, he said, "Oh, and kill those children."
Right.
And
it
was just like, "Geez, Taravangian, holy moly."
He's like, "Well, just make them leave, I guess. Whatever."
Yeah. You mean make them stop singing? Yes, fine, whatever. Doesn't matter to me. Yeah.
Yeah. And basically we get to the point where we realize that the whole point of this, like, of the diagram is, we know he wants to kind of usurp Dalinar's role as like the monarch to unite everybody.
Yeah.
But they're really not thinking they can stop what's going to happen. They're going full damage control to like the nth degree,
Exactly, because it's been a question so far, like why does Taravangian have to be the one in charge of humanity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why does he have to be the leader?
Right.
And well, it turns out that this is why. It's because there's no way anybody else would just like let Odium win and try to negotiate with him to like mitigate damage, right?
Right. Yeah.
But Taravangian knows that he can do that because he has to, right, in his mind.
Right. Yeah. So whereas Dalinar's camp is like, we can defeat him using the contest of champions, whereas Taravangian, if it were up to him, he would just be like, "Yep, Odium, I'll release you. Let's negotiate about it, and just don't kill everybody, why don't you? Huh? We
Yeah,
can
just
whip
don't kill
something up.
everybody. Yeah.
Yep.
Which is kind of whack.
Right.
But I mean,
he
like,
sees it as inevitable, so yeah, I see where he's coming from. But
yeah, if
kind
you
of
have the
defeatist.
choice between, in his mind, everybody dying or not quite everybody dying, right?
Right.
You would choose not quite everybody. But as far as anyone, from other people's perspectives, that is not the choice, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Kind
Either way, for the time being, Taravangian has decided that assassinating Dalinar is no longer the course of action, given new information that he has gleaned from the diagram in his super intelligent state.
The contingency plans.
Yep. So no more assassinating Dalinar. Now they actually want to support Dalinar and let him gain a whole lot of power, so that eventually he can hopefully crumble under the pressure of all of that power, and it will be transferred to Taravangian, which I guess all makes a lot of sense in the context of the diagram has claimed that is what's going to happen.
Right.
If they play their cards right.
Yeah, and they'll, with Taravangian in charge, he'll be seen as kind of non-threatening, right? And it'll be easier to bring people in because they're like, oh, it's just Taravangian, whatever.
Yeah, and well, I mean, world leaders seem to really like Taravangian. Everyone likes Taravangian, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you can see how the plan would work.
Yep.
I
I don't know if Dalinar's going to crack under the pressure. Not to speak against the holy word of the diagram.
Yeah.
But doesn't seem super likely to me. I mean, I'm sure we'll see something to that effect happen where there's going to be a struggle between the two at some point. But
yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Venli. Wow. How's it going, Venli?
Oh boy, Venli she's kind of the Moash of the Parshendi, isn't she?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we had, in the past, when we had Venli and Eshonai interludes, I was always like, ugh, this again?
Right.
But now, this one, I was like, oh, Venli, wow, been a while. I was like kind of excited to see what's going on with her.
I saw the little chapter icon, and I was like, Eshonai, and I was like, oh, wait, she's dead.
Oh, rip Eshonai, yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
All right,
Yes.
However, is she totally dead, I wonder?
I don't know.
More on that in a bit.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay, so hey, Parshendi have gem hearts, it turns out.
Yes.
Thank God the Alethi did not discover that.
Yeah.
But also, how did they not discover that?
Right. Yeah, I was like, I mean, I guess they must be just like a lot smaller, right? So they probably just aren't as useful.
I think they just must not have known, because if they did, surely they would have been harvesting gem hearts from every Parshendi, right?
Yeah, because like even if they're smaller and not as useful, they're still gems.
That's still money, yeah. But then again, I guess the Parshendi all had gems in their beards, and the Alethi weren't harvesting those, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe they were just so small that like compared to the gem hearts they were getting from the Chasm Fiends, they just like didn't matter.
From the contests, yeah. So.
Yeah, at the time I was reading this, I was thinking like, man, the Alethi must not have known about that, because surely they would have been ripping the hearts out of all of the Parshendi they killed, right?
Yeah.
But maybe not. Maybe not. All right.
So Ulam, who's like the original Voidspren that Venli teamed up with to bring about the end days. Thanks a lot, Venli.
Jesus, gosh darn it, Venli.
Yeah. So she's like, he's telling them that there's a new form that they can achieve, stronger than storm form, and he chooses only the best to be, in this ascended state or whatever. He doesn't really give a lot of details. He's like, this is gonna be a crazy one. You'll feel how strong it is when they're trying to take you over. So much so that like you might try to resist it, but don't do that. All right, let's get the show on the road. And they go out into the Everstorm and they start to transform.
But it was a trick.
Yes.
Actually, they were not adopting a new form of power. They were getting kind
Straight
of killed,
murdered. Yeah.
so that their bodies could be taken by the fused.
Yeah, like the fused, capital T.
the like ancient Parshendi spirits or whatever,
right?
Who are inhabiting bodies
to
make fused,
like gods, like capital G, big scary, and like I kind of view these guys as like anti-heralds, basically.
Yeah, well,
like
I mean, one of them that takes over. I don't know if all of these fused that are arriving are like the big bad guys, but one of them who inhabits Venli's old boyfriend or whatever, her once mate.
Yeah, Demid, whatever his name
is called one of the Grand of the Fused, Hariel.
Right.
And
And I was like, ooh, spooky.
I mean, even the name Hariel, it feels almost like an Old Testament angel name
Yeah,
or
it
something,
does.
you know?
Yeah, definitely. It sounds big, scary demon guy.
Yeah, he's like very spook.
Right. Did you ever read the Bartimaeus trilogy?
No, I started it, but I never
Okay.
I never fully
Well,
read it.
never mind. There's like a perfect analogy from that series. Very good series. I would read it. I saw the second book at a thrift store just this weekend, and I was like, oh, I should reread that series.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of reading recommendations lately. I found actually that my backlog of books that I actually genuinely really want to read, like right now, is just overflowing, and I think I've just got to start reading more.
Yeah.
Because like right now, I listen to audiobooks in my free time, like when I'm driving, or actually when I'm in the shower. I listen to audiobooks.
Yeah, good at times any.
And I think that I've just got to start ramping up my reading time like a lot if I want to actually start clearing out this backlog.
I think I told you about this before, but I watched a video of a guy who was saying he read like maybe one book for pleasure a year, you know, and he was just like on a quest for a YouTube video of like how to increase that as much as he could. And so he like visited all these cool libraries and talked to experts and stuff. And basically the two biggest takeaways he had was just like read just like 30 minutes every day, if not more, you know, but like 30 minutes, that's easy, that's attainable.
Yeah.
And just like try to physically like read faster, like speed read basically.
Sure. I personally actually don't want to speed read.
Yeah.
I feel like I like kind of taking my time with books and really, you know.
Yeah,
I don't
nothing
know.
wrong with that.
Stretching, like, I don't know. It's not so much about quantity for me, I guess. Although the way I'm talking, it might sound like, I don't know. I just want to read. I think I just want to spend more time reading.
I mean, I notice because I used to be like 100% sub-vocalized, you know, like say every word in your head. And like, I feel like and I've been, I don't know, speed reading, I guess, for like the last like 6-7 years or something.
Yeah.
But I feel like my comprehension is like the same, and I don't enjoy it any less. Like none of the like mental movie aspect of it is lost on me.
Huh. All right. Well, maybe I'll try it then. Maybe I'll give it a try.
Yeah, it's worth a shot. And if not, you can just speed read really boring stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So
which is harder to do, but
at first, one of the Voidspren. They're not Voidspren, I guess. One of the Parshendi gods or whatever was going to take over Venli's body.
Right.
But then it got like pushed out by some nice paternal sounding Voidspren voice. And it made me wonder at first when it was describing it as like a kindly voice that apparently had power to like kick this Parshendi god to the curb or whatever. I was like, oh my god, is she getting taken over by like Odium himself or something? Mm-hmm. And no, I don't think she is. But for a second, I don't know. Just
I had the same idea because it sounded so similar to how Odium was presented at the end of part 2.
Yeah. But I'm almost positive that's not what happened.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
And later, Ulim describes it as like just a lesser Voidspren that took Venli's body. But I'm wondering, like, is it a lesser Voidspren, or is this Voidspren like a big deal? And I kind of suspect that it's a big deal.
Yeah. I'm thinking like she didn't just like resist it enough that none of the Grand Spren wanted her or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah,
so, I'll have to see what happens. And she didn't die also, which like the Grand one that took over Demid like straight up killed him. He is no longer exists at all.
Well, yeah, it's because she wasn't turned into a fused.
Right.
She just took another form of power. The Spren that inhabited her was like the Spren that turned them into storm form, right? It was just like she's in a different form of power now.
Right.
And I'm sure that's going to be significant. And we learn that Odium has a task for her apparently, which is or a purpose for her, which is why she wasn't turned into a fused.
Right.
The living Parshendi are described as the children of traitors. Yeah. Which makes me think that the Parshendi or the Voidbringers back in the day might have had their own recreants of sorts.
Yeah.
Where some of them, gave up the fight.
Yep.
Also, right at the end here, Venli sees a little spread, a little ball of light, just like the one on Eshonai's corpse, which she conceals.
Right, because she's like, I don't know what this is, but I know that the big bad guys won't like it probably. So
yeah. So here's what I'm thinking. It's a couple of ideas kind of mixed together here.
All right.
Spren can be trapped in gems. This happens often, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Also, the what am I looking for? The Chasm Fiends have gem hearts, and they always also had a bunch of Spren following them when they were alive that would leave when they died, right?
Yep.
So what I'm wondering is, like, is this little ball of light Spren actually like Eshonai's soul or something?
Yeah, or like Demon's soul, somebody associated with a gem heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like we definitely don't have all the pieces to the gem heart family of organisms.
I feel like Eshonai can't be dead because her death wasn't cool at all.
Right,
you know?
right. Her death was very innocuous, yeah.
She was just like in a chasm during the Everstorm.
Right, she just got kicked in, couldn't get out.
And she's just dead. And it's like, I don't know, it's just kind of lame.
Right, after Yesna, I trust no death.
Yeah.
On screen or otherwise.
So, okay, well that's that. Hey, that's the interludes for you.
Yep. Yeah, kind of some big ones, it seemed like, as opposed to not long, but like impactful.
Yeah, I feel like we got a lot of cool information, like as opposed to like the interlude in the last chapter, where it was just that lighthouse keeper or whatever.
Yep.
You know, that one, whatever. But like these three, I think were all significant, and I liked all of them. So thank you,
same.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, Brendan.
Oh, thank you, Brandon. Okay,
again,
so
your invitation to join the podcast is still open, still waiting on response.
Yeah. I mean, can you just not keep us waiting quite so long? Jeez,
right.
Dude. Okay.
Answer my emails.
On the following chapters, I had different levels of notes from chapter to chapter. So, like for this first one, for example, I have almost nothing, because this time apparently Kaladin has already returned from Fenn's land. What's it called? Thelina?
Thelina, yeah.
He's already returned from Thelina with Shallan. They went on their little, flight together, which I thought we were going to see flirting and whatnot.
Right,
but we didn't. They're back already.
Yep.
And Kaladin has been given land by Dalinar because he is now that he has Light Eyes, now that he's a Shardbearer and a Radiant, Dalinar is saying, you must be of at least the fourth Dawn, right?
Right, yeah.
So you own land, bada bing, bada boom. And Kaladin's like, what? No, I don't want this added responsibility. Like, I have so much going on. I do not want villagers that I have to, like, protect and like, worry about, right?
Yeah.
And Dalinar replies, we don't get to choose things like this. And I'm like, what do you mean, Dalinar? You literally chose this for him.
Bought this land for Kaladin.
Yeah, so I just thought that was kind of goofy.
Right. So
on the one hand, it's like someone's got to be responsible for these villagers, I guess. But
right, and Kaladin, is better than a lot of people would be, but
he's got a lot on his plate, hasn't he?
Busy guy.
So I wonder if that land he owns is ever going to come up.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it probably will.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be too significant, but I'm sure it'll be some fun fluff every now and then.
Yeah. Okay, and now next chapter we're in. Now we're on the trip to Thelina. Now the Oath Gate's been opened. Hooray! It's a wonderful step in the right direction. Dalinar hasn't quite gained the trust of the Thaylen government yet.
Yep.
But it is, hey, they've taken a great step in that direction. So Dalinar and Navani and Taravangian and a small retinue of others go through the Oath Gate, and they're on a political mission to get these people on their side.
Yep. Oh, sorry, I had a big yawn.
No, I just paused because I feel like sometimes I just monologue, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to come in with something if you had anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of all there is for that. I mean, we can get on to the next batch of things that happen.
Yeah. So, John, I love stupid Taravangian. so much.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
what I'm finding is that I love Taravangian at all intelligence levels for different reasons.
Yep. Same.
And he's just like a very interesting character who I think I'm never gonna get tired of.
Yeah, same. He's too easy to make interesting in a new and exciting way every time.
Yeah, and I wonder if Brandon Sanderson gets to each chapter and decides like this
Right, just like
this is the intelligence level he should be at to like make this go the way I want it to.
mm-hmm.
Or if he decides how smart Taravangian will be first and then writes the chapter around
Right.
that or something like
Yeah,
I
is
just
it
wonder
like he rolls like a d20 or
exactly
does he
yeah
just like start with what he wants to get done? Yeah. Huh.
I don't know, it's interesting. I don't know. That would actually be a good question for Brandon Sanderson at a convention or something, right?
Yeah.
On any given day, do you decide how intelligent Taravangian will be first, or
vice versa.
do you know how the chapter will go and then make Taravangian whatever intelligence level suits that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's a RAFO proof question. That's valuable stuff.
Yeah. I'm sure somebody's already asked something like that.
Probably, yeah.
So and I say Stupid Taravangian is so cool because he is like looking at all of these people suffering and he's like crying and saying like, "Let me bring my surgeons, please." And he's just like he's such a good guy when he's stupid, you know.
Right.
He's just a genuinely excellent person, right?
Right. And
It's
he's
just very
just
I like
such a bad person, but also so cool when he's smart.
Yeah.
It's a very fun dichotomy to have in one character.
There was a line that led me to believe that Dalinar was like just now remembering what had happened at the Rift all those years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost makes it seem like we've seen parts of Dalinar's past in these flashbacks that he himself doesn't quite remember.
Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like.
So he's like gaining back his memories over the course of this book is the way I'm kind of interpreting it.
Yeah.
Dalinar is like, oh man, these people aren't going to listen to politician Dalinar. I gotta give them what they want, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he like lets this guy start a fight with him, right? Fenn's son.
Yep.
And he knows that just dueling this guy isn't going to send a message the way he wants. He needs something that'll send a message.
He's got to, in the words of our good friend Thomas, he's got to talk to somebody.
He's got to talk to somebody. So he decides to duel this guy by alternating advantage, which is just an idea that I love so much. Like, this is something that I personally don't think I ever would have thought of this, right?
Right. Yeah,
but he
this
challenges
is
this guy to a
like
fight
Brando
where...
Sando, and you're like, he has every good idea and puts them all in the books. Leaves
Yeah.
some for the rest of us.
I know, it's awesome. So either way, the idea behind this is that one of them gets a sword for 3 minutes and then the other one gets the sword for 3 minutes.
Right.
And Dalinar says, nope, we're doing alternate advantage, you go first. And the other guy's like, what? Okay, right? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
It would have been cool to win a fight against the Blackthorn without an advantage.
Right.
But he'll also take winning with an advantage, right? That's fine. But Dalinar is just too good, and he's got a little bit of Stormlight, and he's like dodging like crazy and being cool as hell. And eventually, he takes the sword right through the chest, just super on purpose,
Yep.
just to drive home the point that do you understand how easily I could kill everybody here?
Right. He's
It
like,
would,
I'm
it
not
would
even
not
gonna
be
show
difficult. Yeah, and
He's
and
like,
yeah.
He's using their imagination of how terrible he could be to like more inflate how terrible we know he could be.
Yeah, and he's just saying to this guy, right? Like, if I wanted to take this city by force, I would have done it by now.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, already.
Like, I don't know how I can
Dalinar.
better convince you that I genuinely want a mutually beneficial relationship between us.
Right. And then he finishes this duel, and he was like, "Oh, that was a little." I don't know if that's the Nigerian way to do things, but I guess it worked.
Yeah, well, and I like that he regrets it afterwards because he's like, man, I've been doing things by force my whole life. I want to be political. I want to like,
right,
genuinely prove to these people that I'm not gonna like invade them. I'm not gonna do things via violence, right?
Right.
But
And
here
it
he
was
is still
like-
doing things via violence.
It was kind of fun because it was sort of it was cool to see like an old Dalinar moment with new Dalinar's like sense of, I don't know, ethics, but
Yeah, and well, sometimes it is almost like old past Dalinar and present Dalinar are like totally different people, right?
oh yeah, absolutely.
So it's nice to have a little crossover episode where
right, to see that he hasn't
he's some
just
of
total
both.
180'd. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's up in the church just as he's fretting. It's not what I'm looking for, but just as he's being upset about the fact that he has to do things via violence, he is suddenly presented with an epiphany, I guess, a way he can use his powers that he wasn't aware of before that will, in fact, convince people without violence. So that was very timely.
Right, yeah, he, with enough introspection, anything's possible.
Exactly. That's what I always say. To myself, of course.
Right,
yeah, and he can hear the stones in pain of this church that was blown up by the Everstorm very tragically. Mm-hmm. And his Bondsmith powers allow him to just like fix it, to put it back to how it was, right? To rebind this thing that was once whole that now feels like it's been broken apart, right?
Yep.
So yeah, he fixes the church, and onlookers are like, "Oh my god, this guy's so cool!" Like the people who didn't think it was cool that he beat that guy in the alternating, let him win in the alternating duel in this super hardcore way, are now like, "Okay, that was weird, but this is cool," and like now everybody like just thinks Dalinar is so like cool. This.
A nice drawing in two different audiences.
Yeah, and there might be some third party of people who are like, well, I'm still not convinced. But then Dalinar's like, you know what we could do? Bring Renard over here. He'll heal all those people. And now they're like, okay, now that's cool.
All right. Yeah. He's like, I know some of you are still holdouts, but you get a free cookie.
Yeah, Dalinar is just, he just really convinces everyone super thoroughly. Yeah. And like, on the one hand, it's like, why did you not think of Renard's healing powers the instant you saw all those people dying, right?
Really, though.
But on the other hand, at least you thought of him, an hour later.
At some point, yeah.
Yeah. Also, it sounded like at one point he was like on the brink of just being able to understand Thalen, the language, right?
Yeah, that was weird.
And I'm thinking, well, like his Bondsmith power, it makes sense that as a Bondsmith, maybe he will develop the ability to just understand and speak all languages, right?
Right, yeah.
Which would just make Dalinar, like, just every moment you think Dalinar can't get cooler, and then bam, there it is.
Right. He already speaks Stonese, so, I mean, the rest should be easy. Or he understands it. He's not fluent.
Yeah, and I mean, if you can speak Stonese, like, what can't you speak, you know?
Right, honestly.
And then my last two notes, I don't understand.
Okay.
One of them says, just like the conversation with Venli. And the next one, I say simply the words, got her. So, that is good.
Neato.
That's good. All right, moving onwards. The scouting party. Sorry, do you have more?
Nope, that was it.
Made up of Shallan and Kaladin and Vatha and Elokar and Adolin and just a whole crowd of people.
Yep. They're flying to Kholinar.
And they arrived there. Bada bing, bada boom.
Yep. And that's kind of it. They're like, we need to sneak in. Let's do that in the next chapter.
Yep. There's a cloud of darkness, a feeling of wrongness, and the sorts of words they're using to describe it is exactly like the stuff they were talking about with Reshafir, the Midnight Mother, back in Urithiru. So this is like very, very definitely an unmade. At work, and it's centered right around the Oathgate, up in like this raised like monastery courtyard area, up like in the center of Kholinar. Yeah. Okay, and then like you said, they decided to sneak in. Next chapter. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
We learned that the Voidbringers are not attacking refugees, which Adolin theorizes is because they want refugees to go into the city because it'll drain the city's resources faster, which is obviously bad if they're being sieged, right, and they can't get more supplies in. Right. However, if they were able to open the Oathgate, they could easily get supplies in from any number of places, despite the siege, which would be super dope.
Yeah.
Shallan says even more obliquely, like, yep, there's an unmade in there. So if there was any doubt in your mind, let it be dashed.
All right. So she is like, all right, I'm going to use my super duper OP powers to disguise all of you, which is a thing I can do.
Which is very cool.
Right. We learned a little while back that she can like focus illusions on things other than herself and patterns. So
yeah.
Now that's coming in handy.
I mean, as soon as she was able to do that, she was able to put on a whole play, including audience members, all at once, and have like.
That's a good point.
I'm like, okay, all right. Shallan can do whatever she wants with illusions. I get it.
Right. Yeah.
So this was no surprise to me. There was a line in here as well where Elhokar was like, "Should I fail, Kaladin? You have to just be the guy and do the thing." And Kaladin was like, "I'll try," and Elhokar says, "No, you won't try. You will be extraordinary, Captain. Nothing else will suffice." And that line, just like, be extraordinary. Nothing else will suffice. I really like that line. I don't know. It's like stuff, yeah. It's cool, you know. Elhokar, I think he is growing like right before our eyes. Like comparing Elhokar in these couple of chapters to Book 1 Elhokar, I'm like, wow, Elhokar's cool as heck. Elhokar has gone up several points on our 1 to 10 scale we used to use for character ratings, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know where he is now. Probably still not too great, like a 5 or a 6.
Right.
But I think we used to put him at like a 2 or 3, so, you know.
He's showing serious above 5 potential.
He is. He's doing He's doing all right.
That line reminded me of the whatever book it's from, the greatness quote. Is that from Great Expectations, or am I just?
I need more details. There are many quotes about greatness.
The one that's like, some are born great, some have greatness thrust upon them. Yeah, that's kind of what this reminded me of.
I think that is from Great Expectations, and wow, what a quote! I love that one as well. Great
stuff. Yeah. Book, quote, solid.
Yeah. That's all I have for that chapter.
Yep.
Very sparse, that one for me.
Yep.
Okay. They infiltrate the city. It goes great. Kind of.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
We learn that Voidbringers are, like, really angry about Fabrials.
Yeah,
Wait, no, we don't learn that quite yet. Either way.
Is that not in this chapter?
That's the next one, but yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It doesn't matter. We'll just mix these next two.
Right. The whole siege, I mean, like, we could go into great detail, but it kind of just goes off without a hitch, more or less. I mean...
Yeah.
Like, Shallan's OP, and they just bim, bam, boom, Ocean's the little casino, and there they go.
This is like an Ocean's movie, but it's, like, really not that big of a deal. This is probably just Ocean's 1 or 2. You know? Yeah. It's like, it just happens.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So yeah, Voidbringers are really angry about Fabrials, I guess, and they're like collecting them. Whenever somebody uses a Fabrial, the Voidbringers like swoop in and steal it, and sometimes kill the person using it.
And Fabrials just have like this like fire alarm spren that just starts screaming when they're in use.
Well, I think those are the Void Spren. I think those are like Ulim.
Oh, really?
Comes and like makes a racket.
Oh, okay. And then okay, all right. Yeah, I guess I misunderstood. I thought this was like a separate tier that like alerted them to it when it was being used. That was like still on their side, but a separate type of spren. But...
Oh, okay. Yeah, you might be right. My interpretation is not backed up by a whole lot of data over here. This is just like what I.
If there's anything
when I read it, that's just like what I thought was happening. You know.
From today's political, situation, it's that facts don't need them to assert your point. So
yeah, both of us, John, if either of us ever gets even an inkling of something, we should just start talking about it with absolute confidence.
Right.
And also probably calling everybody who doesn't agree with it terrorists or Nazis or something like that.
Right. Just hey, feel free to inject yourself with Void Spren. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay. Also, there was a line in this chapter that I really, really liked. It gave off Mad Hermione vibes to me.
Okay.
It was Adolin, and he was saying, like, they were saying, is this someone we can trust? And he said, I would trust them with my life, maybe even more. My tailor.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, it just gave off mad, like, we could be killed, or even worse, expelled. It was like...
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I did, when that line came up, it did feel like a very, like, all the music stops and they zoom in on it a little bit, and he, like, gives the zinger, and then the action just like keeps going around him or whatever. Did not make the Hermione comparison, but I see it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I love that line as well, though. So they're totally hiding out at Adelin's tailor's house, which is dope.
Yeah, that's super fun. Like, we know it's like a fun little like subplot thingy that Adelin's very into fashion, and that's kind of strange, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's just a fun character thing for him.
Yeah, and it's fun as well looking at these chapters where he is going and interacting with his tailor from other characters' points of views, right? Because I think that first it's from Kaladin's point of view, and then it's Shallan, right?
I think so.
And from Kaladin's point of view, he's like, I guess that stuff is probably fashionable. Like he's like talking about the clothes she's wearing. And I think Shallan says something similar, and it's just like...
yeah, they just... Neither one of them really gets it.
Yeah, the stuff that Adolin is, like, very passionate about, they're both like, yeah, that's, I am aware of fashion, right? It's like...
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, because, like, I think that for stuff like fashion and, like, I don't know, makeup to some degree and interior design are all things that, like, I look at... I don't know, interior design might be different, but... For, like, makeup and fashion, for sure, I, like, look at something and I'm either like, oh, that looks super cool, or it's like, they tell me it's a very fashionable thing, I'm like, yeah, I guess that looks fine,
Same with art, dude, for me.
Right, sure, yeah.
Sometimes I see, like, a painting, like, especially with, like, modern paintings, it's, with old paintings, people generally agree or disagree with what is good, right?
Yeah.
But with modern stuff, I'll see a painting and I'll be like, yeah, that's, It's good, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then if somebody tells me, like, oh, yeah, this painting is, like... the art community generally agrees that this is really excellent. And I'd be like, okay, right, yeah, right, sure. I don't know.
And I think it's kind of the same with interior design, too. Because, like, some buildings I look at, and it's like, whether it's just, like, something that looks good objectively or, like, really vibes with me, I'm like, oh, yeah, this looks great. Like, no doubt in my mind. So there's, like, that category, and then the category of things that people tell me are good, and I'm like, well, if you say so.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, some art, like, instantly evokes emotion, and I'm like, oh, that's good art, right?
Right, yeah.
But just as often, for me, I'll see something and, like, I'm like, is it good? I don't know. I don't know if it's good. Right?
I'm trying to buy a hoodie, right? Because we're going into fall, getting into hoodie season. And I saw this one that is not out yet, but it's from a YouTuber. And it's a color blocked style, which I guess is just really big right now. Where
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The question is, John, are you buying the one that's made? Is it pastels?
No.
What's the color palette? What's the color palette?
I think it's orange, green, and gray. I want to say.
Oh, okay. That might not be the one I'm thinking of. Then.
Because I know the ones you're talking about.
Is it H3H3?
It's not H3H3 or what's his name?
James Charles.
James Charles, yeah.
Okay.
No, it was.
Those are the two I thought it would be because there's like a controversy between them right now.
Right. Well, so it's one through Philip DeFranco, right? And so he covered that story, and he was like, "I'm releasing a hoodie that's also color blocked. It's completely different, not at all related to the story we were just saying, and it's like it is totally different, but it's fun. On the front, it says, "One day we'll all be skeletons," because that is, and this is kind of a weird thing now that I'm thinking about it, because the only other piece of merch that I've gotten from Philip DeFranco, this is a crazy tangent. I apologize.
Oh, that's fine.
But I have a shirt that says "That's amazing" in a very cool looking font, right?
I'm familiar with the shirt. You've probably worn it on the podcast at some point or another.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's like my favorite shirt.
Yeah.
Like, people always comment on it. But the reason that he released that was his son, when he was really young, that was like his phrase he would say all the time. Like, I feel like every kid has that phase where they just pick a phrase or a word and they use it all the time.
Yeah, for me it was praise Cthulhu.
Yeah. For me, it was.
And like my eyes would often go completely black with red pupils when I said it, and it was fun.
Right. Yeah, mine was the same sentence in tongues.
Yeah.
But so they released a shirt that said "That's amazing," gave all the money to charity, and this one was like, he has a podcast where he just interviews people, just like they just have a conversation. It's literally a conversation with. And so he did a mini one with his son, right?
Okay.
And I can't remember why this came up, but his son just says, "Well, that's okay, because one day we'll all be skeletons." And he was like, "Whoa, what the heck?"
Wow. John, are you even a James Franco fan, or are you just a James Franco's son fan?
Yeah, I'm a what's his name? I don't remember his name, the son's name. But yeah, him first, then Philip.
Okay.
So yeah.
Oh wait,
but
I said
it's-
James Franco when I meant Philip DeFranco.
Right. You just missed 2 syllables in there.
Whoopsie daisy.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's the one I want to get. It's like, I think it's gray and it has a cool font that says "One day we'll all be skeletons," and one arm's one color, one arm's the other color, the pocket's a third color. You know.
Nice. Yeah. No, I like that. I like that style.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I like stuff that is the sort of clothes you would wear. You'd be able to dress your character in on like a character creation screen.
Yeah.
I think I've mentioned this
is
before.
Definitely that kind of hoodie. Yeah.
But like, you know, sometimes like just wearing like jeans and like a monocolored t-shirt or something,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not a graphic tee at all, just like monocolored t-shirt, jeans. Or like same with like the
Right.
baseball shirts, which are, you know, shirt is one color and both sleeves are the same other color and maybe the pocket is also that color.
Oh yeah, I love the long sleeve baseball shirts where it comes on the shoulder a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, excellent style.
And like clothes like those or like I have a lot of pants which are just like, you know, they're like jeans or they're, you know, like just kind of a simple like kind of tougher fabric, but they're just one color, right? Whether
Right,
it's like a
just
dark green or like
a
blue.
colored khaki, kind of.
Yeah, and it's I like these very simple clothes that like don't have a lot of text on them, or like even if they are like from a video game. I have a shirt which is like Mario themed, but it's just a mushroom, and it doesn't even have some dumb quip about like how I could really use an extra life today or something.
Right.
You know, it's
Yeah.
it's just a mushroom,
Simple.
and I'm like nice.
Clean.
I like
Yeah.
simplicity, and I think that the color block pattern is very much like in my. If I found one that was colors I liked,
Yep.
I could see myself totally wearing that.
Yeah, the highest tier shirt is the baseball shirt, the long sleeve baseball shirt,
Okay, yeah.
followed by like a button down that is not plaid but has some pattern on it. That's like my 1-2 punch.
Sure.
So like,
I like
the
it
shirt,
that-
it's fine, but
Yeah, we're
It's
both describing
flat.
like our favorite sorts of clothes while not wearing those clothes. at all.
not
like,
wearing it at all.
like
yeah.
right now, this shirt, it's like a Hawaiian shirt, which has like, I guess it's kind of simple in that the colors aren't too like, there's not too much contrast on it. So like from a distance, you know, it's not too bad. But and then you're wearing a plaid shirt after just saying like I like non-plaid. Like,
Yeah. Man, I
Okay.
like how we're like aliens into fashion. We don't know anything about fashion. Let's talk about that for 15 minutes.
well, we're just talking. This isn't really fashion. It's just our preferences, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Like, whatever. Yeah. Okay. So back to the book.
Yes.
We move on to Shalon. She's about to go out doing detective work as Vale. She's decided it's time to reveal her alternate personality to her crew.
Right.
And Vatha is just like, I knew it. And I'm like, what? No, you didn't. Like, come on,
Yeah,
Vatha.
I'm like, get out
you
of
cannot
here.
you cannot convince me that you knew they were the same person. And
That seems like a very easy, retrospect. Like, make yourself look smarter than you are.
yeah,
easy
yeah, exactly.
Slam dunk. Yeah.
I bet Vatha, I think this might just be his thing. We're gonna get to the end, and it's gonna turn out that like Shalon was actually 3 raccoons in a human suit all along, and he's gonna be like, obviously, how did you guys not see that Shalon was 3 raccoons in a human suit?
Yeah.
And everyone else
yeah.
will be like, oh my god, what's a raccoon? Because they don't even exist in this universe.
Right.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
Shalon's Vincent Adult Man. That's my
Yeah.
That's my crossover conspiracy.
Okay. Either way, Vale. Shalon is now going out as Vale, but she wants Kaladin to think that she's Shalon dressed as Vale, but she wants to be Vale and have Vale's capabilities.
Right.
So Shalon is going out as Vale, dressed or pretending to be Shalon.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is like, oh boy,
it's just like-
this is the deep end of the pool we were worried about. you know?
Oh no! Oh Shalon!
Like the multiple personalities disorder concern meter has dipped well into orange. You know.
Also, what's the name of her new her like thief girl who the
Oh,
Ghostbloods
it's
said it was
like,
okay for her to keep?
It was like Lynn.
I think Lynn is the woman who's gonna be one of the squires,
Oh right, yeah.
one of the Bridge 4.
Oh
You
oh man, I don't remember. I know what you're talking about, but
Okay, either way, so
me
this
see if I
this
can find it on this thing.
woman who we'll remember the name of eventually
yeah.
says like, I would have guessed that Vale was the real personality and Shalon was the front, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And Shalon replies, both are fake.
Right.
Shalon and Vale, and I'm like, Shalon is actually real. And I
Shalon's not fake.
I hope that this was a lie and not like Shalon forgetting that she does in fact
Dissociating.
have a real personality.
Right. Yeah, she's like a oh man, what's a good analogy? All right, this is a This is a real pitch. Okay.
All right,
This
I'm
is
ready
a
to
reach.
catch it. Let me put my baseball mitt on.
Yeah.
All right,
So I
I'm
was
ready.
at a thrift store, and so I think this is why all of my analogies are thrifty these days. But you know those like little picture thingies where you look in and it's got the little dial and you turn it to all the pictures?
Yeah, totally.
Right. So Shalon is the picture thingy, and all the identities are the little picture things. And she is just like, did she throw away the picture finder? Now she's just the dial.
Okay.
You know, she just has to pick one at any given time, but there's no like foundation for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you catch it? I don't know. It looked like you fumbled it, but eventually
That
you
one was
juggled it,
a
but you
bit
got
of a that pitch where it's like a corkscrew. You put so much gosh darn spin on it.
Right.
I barely
Little
caught
bit
it,
of
but it
curveball.
was a ball. Regrettably, it wasn't a strike.
Oh
John,
shoot!
so.
Outside the strike. Box,
Outside the
I think it's
box,
called.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, and they're out doing their thing, and Shalon does get stabbed through the chest because the guards are like totally possessed
Weird
or something.
Statue things, yeah.
And that's unfortunate. And
Bummer.
Shalon is like, it's okay, Shalon. Just keep bottling things up. Nothing bad will ever happen if I just keep bottling up all my emotions.
Yeah, she's kind of like Vale in that she's like, oh, my old spouse that I was still friends with is dead. For the greater good, I guess.
Shalon she's just like so freaking mentally unstable, and I'm constantly nervous about
Right.
Shalon.
Yeah, she's a pot about to boil over at all times. You like keep blowing on it, but one time she's gonna forget.
Yeah. You just gotta set a wooden spoon across the top.
You know, I've heard that, and I've tried it, and I don't know. I don't buy it.
I've actually also tried it. It did not work for me.
Okay, cool.
But, yeah.
Glad we're just giving our listeners bad advice.
Okay, so yeah, Shalon is making me very, very nervous.
Yes.
The palace is totally possessed. I think that the queen is probably just a bad, terrible person even prior to the unmade arriving, and that's rough, and that's going to be rough for Elhokar.
Yep.
And everything is terrible in Kholinar, but I'm sure they're going to figure it out. Probably, my guess is that that'll be the finale of kind of part 3.
Yep.
My guess is that they'll sort that out. I don't know what the rest of the book is going to be about then, though.
I know, yeah. We don't have any kind of outstanding conflicts otherwise.
Yeah, the thing is that I feel like they've already made enough progress on this whole Kholinar deal that like they're probably going to have it sorted out pretty soon.
Yeah, here's a question I have for you. Do you think that now that Elhokar is trying to be like competent man, will he see like the deficiencies in his wife as a leader goes, or will he be like blinded to it? You know.
I think he's probably gonna be forced to confront it, because I suspect that it won't be the sort of thing where they meet up and his wife is like, oh, thank goodness you're here, everything is terrible, please help, and then they're just gonna like brush under the rug. I suspect that they're gonna meet his wife, and she is gonna be like a bad person, and like they're gonna have to fight her on some
Hash
stuff.
that out.
I don't think he'll be able to ignore it forever.
Right. I feel like the fact that he's becoming more and more capable is like, this is a very purposeful time that he's gonna have this meetup.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see how that shakes out.
Yes. I'm excited for Elhokar's his character arc.
Yep.
Okay, and then hey, moving on, last chapter of the bit. I'm kind of speeding us through here, but we just talked about shirts
Other
for so
stuff.
long.
Yeah. But hey, that's fine. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. All right, so hey, wow, that's right. Dalinar totally has the honor blade.
Yep.
Brandon Sanderson could have never brought that up again, and I would have forgotten about it.
Yeah, same. I was like, maybe not, but like he mentioned it, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, Delaware is a state. Of course it is.
Yeah. Oh, Delaware. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Stormfather does totally know where one of the heralds is.
Yeah, he's just been holding that in his back pocket this whole time.
Yeah, it's Ishar, Herald of Luck.
Yes.
Which is dope.
Yeah, that sounds super cool.
He seeks death. He is the god priest of Tukar, apparently.
Right.
And Dalinar here asks, like, when were you going to tell me this? And the Stormfather's like, whenever you asked. And I'm like, what? No! Like, the Stormfather is so incredibly unhelpful.
Yeah.
It's like...
For how much good he could be doing, it's impressive how useless he is.
It's like you know how when somebody is like doing a lot of truth by omission and all that because they're like they're basically trying to like inhibit a police investigation. They're just being like deliberately as unhelpful as possible.
Yeah.
I would say the Stormfather is on a level with those people. Like, I don't think it is deliberate, but he's being like as unhelpful as possible.
Right. It's so weird because even back in I think it was maybe the last chapter of last week's, even Odium, he was like, "You bound the Stormfather. That's a big deal." And I was like, "That's what I thought," but here we are. You know, he gets the visions, and the Stormfather's good for that. But I mean, otherwise, he's not very he's not as helpful as some of the other Spren. Like, you got pattern imitating voices, you got Syl doing Syl things.
Well, I think that it is going to be a huge deal though when Stalinar starts saying more of the oaths, because let's look at this, right? Like, Kaladin technically has binding as one of his surges, right?
Right. Yep.
But when Kaladin uses binding, it's not that helpful, right?
No.
He like sticks something to a wall or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now Dalinar, when he uses binding, for him that manifests as like restoring, you know, a church that was destroyed in a tornado, right?
Right.
Or like he did you remember when he was breaking up the fight at the end, and he just like channeled his binding power into the floor itself, and it coursed forth and stuck everybody to the floor in the room, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like the Stormfather is saying to him that thing where he fixed the church was a parlor trick compared to what he will be able to do with his power.
Right, yeah.
So I think that binding the Stormfather is a big deal. I don't think it's because the Stormfather is a useful informant. I think it's because the Stormfather is literally going to offer him like world-changing levels of power later on.
Sure.
Yeah. And I'm very excited to find out more about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But the pressure will be too much, and he'll crack, and Teravangion will feast on the broken yoke of his psyche. You know? It'll be fun.
Yeah, totally. Okay. Also, dude, I think that we talked about this once before, how there could be... Did we talk about this? How there could only ever be 3... Oh my god, what's the name of Dalinar's Radiant Order? Bondsmiths.
Yeah.
There can only ever be 3 Bondsmiths. Wasn't that brought up before?
I feel like it was just that when the Night Radiants were at their height, there were only 3. And we were like, that's weird.
Well, according to the Stormfather here, there can only be 3, one for each of us,
Right.
he says.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking these must be 3 incredibly powerful Spren, right?
Yep.
The Stormfather, probably the Night Watcher,
Mm-hmm.
and what is the third one?
Right. The only other, like, super duper powerful Spren that doesn't seem on a level with these is that weird, like, Old Faithful geyser.
Mm-hmm. It was like in the
Book
ocean during
one.
the Axes chapter, right? Wasn't he checking it out?
Yep, yeah, it was the Axes chapter. That's right.
Yeah, and that's what I thought of as well. But again, I agree with you. That doesn't seem to be on the level of like the Stormfather and the Night Watcher.
Right.
So what is this third Mega Spren? Like,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure we don't learn about it in the rest of this book, because this was a line that came up and I was like, oh my god, like how do I not know? I think it just hasn't been revealed.
All right, cool.
Yeah. So
because like I'm so curious all the time about Axes, especially after he was brought up last time, because I went back and I reread that chapter when you mentioned his mention, because I just somehow missed it, but it's like clear as day. Yeah, I mean, it's just like one line. But
it's like, just a name drop. It's just enough for Brandon to make my mouth start watering, so that he can then completely skip over the subject. And I'm like, no, Brandon Sanderson, why would you do this to me?
Because like that was in book 1, and I remember that interlude being so far off the map from everything else that was happening. I was like, this is not a character I expected to see in this universe whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it seems totally unrelated to the rest of the story. Like, the only relation is that this guy's concerned with Spren and that he comes from Aemia, and other than that, like, no character,
right,
besides I guess now one of Yasna's informants has ever mentioned this guy.
Yeah, minor spoiler. They mentioned Axes, and he really reminded me of that race from Mistborn, the shapeshifter guys.
Oh, yes. I don't remember what they're called right now, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
That was like one of my favorite parts of all of Mistborn was that like race or whatever.
Mm-hmm,
And I was like, oh, we got another one.
Yeah.
Like, more or less.
I don't think they're the same.
No, yeah, I don't think it's like a world happens situation, but
Yeah.
yeah, just very similar. So I was like, oh, cool, I'm excited to hear more about that. And we have not 2 books later.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's interesting. But his
Yeah.
whole thing, is finding out about Spren, which I'm also into.
Yeah, I am incredibly interested to hear more about Axes. Maybe he'll come up in Dawnshard if Lucas's theory is right about it being based on Aemia, right? He is Aemian.
Right.
So who knows? That would be cool. That would be very cool.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Last thing I have on this chapter is just that Dalinar hasn't felt the thrill in ages. Like, he can't even remember how long it's been.
Right. Which, like, thank goodness, really.
Yeah. And I wonder if that's because it is attached to some unmade that's just, like, left the area.
Yeah, ever
Or
since you
if,
mentioned
like-
that theory, that's my running assumption.
I wonder, though, it might just be Odium's influence. And it might be as Dalinar started to become bonded to the Stormfather that, like, pushed out Odium's influence or something. Now
Sure,
as
it's
he
like
draws
a-
closer to honor or whatever.
Right, he hung up on Odium and he answered the call from honor.
I don't know. Like, I want to hear about the thrill from more characters. If we could get like Adolin also saying like, yeah, I haven't felt the thrill in ages. I'd be like, oh, okay, it's probably an unmade who moved, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we've had that, so
Yeah.
I'm just not exactly sure. I think my running theory is still that it's an unmade who moved,
Right.
but there is uncertainty in my mind.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, and the fact that he mentions that, makes me think that we're supposed to keep that in the back of our mind as we go forward. So
I agree.
we'll see if that comes up.
And based on the end of this chapter, it sounds like very next chapter we are going to get to watch Dalinar talk to Lift and
Yanagon.
Yanagon, yeah, and he's gonna be talking to all those Asian people, and I'm very excited for that. So I'm like, I can't wait to keep reading.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it'll be good.
that's gonna wrap it up for this one, huh?
Yep.
Next time, John, we're reading chapters 65 through 74.
Okay.
34,000 words of
Ah.
of epic fantasy goodness.
Of epic fantasy yummy.
Oh, yes, and the very next chapter is indeed from Dalinar's perspective.
Oh.
Ooh, cannot wait.
Magnifique. Chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss. All right, hey, thanks for listening.
I'm a book. That's a club.
Yeah, I'm a club, I guess.
And we'll see you in the next video. Sam and John.
Darn it, John. Now I have to go back. I have to edit that nice ditty you just did back into all of our other episodes retroactively. All right. Okay, bye.